I heard about 2 or 3 people, so we're going to try one more time. How we doing today? All right, good deal. So if I'm nothing else, I am obedient. So Bishop, how much time do I have? Because I want to set my time so that, I don't want you to say amen a couple times, and that's my hint. Okay, 10:50. Okay, so that means I got about 45 minutes. All right, I'm gonna do that. I won't act like a Southern Baptist minister and act like I don't know what time it is. So I'm setting my clock now, and if I go over, then I'm gonna have to answer the bishop. But I will say this: that I'm very honored that Bishop would trust me to come here and present to you today. Um, if I seem a little nervous, if I act a little nervous, just know it's not an act. All right. I was when I was asked to come and do this, I was thinking, oh, this what I do. I'm gonna be in this little breakout room over on the side. It'll just be me. And then Bishop said, you'll be in the sanctuary. I'm like, they have breakout rooms in the sanctuary? Okay, well, we can do that. He said, no, you're gonna be in the pulpit. I'm like, uh-oh. So I got a little nervous. So, but I'm gonna just stand up here and do what I can. Let God do what I can. Is that all right? Is that okay? All right. Now, the title of this, if you saw it, the title slide is Don't Get Burned Without Getting Learned. Now, for those of you who are scholars in here, okay, that's not the best English, all right? That's not the best grammar, but it wouldn't rhyme otherwise, all right? So just work with me on this. So don't get burned without getting learned. What does that mean? I'm just saying that we're not just going to talk about fire, just physical fire here on earth. We're going to talk about some of the fires of life, all right? Because there are some things that we're going to go through, and one of the terms that we say, oh man, he got burned doing that. He got burned in that deal. So we're going to talk a little bit about that, but we won't spend too much time on it, but just enough so that we can make this as efficient as possible. So if you go to the next slide, just tell you a little bit about me. Hit it one more time. I was born and raised in Alton, Illinois, and you know what? Don't you hate it when people put up a PowerPoint, then start reading to you as if you don't know how to read on your own? I'm not going to do that to you, all right? I'm going to just let you all look at that a little bit, learn a little bit about me, and then I'll just talk to you about what I'm talking about, and we'll know a little bit about each other. But I am the youngest of 14 brothers and sisters. And until 2021, all 14 of us were on this earth. My sister Birdie was the first to pass, and we're down to 11 of us. But I understand that because I'm the youngest, and I'm going to be 58 in September. My nephew asked me. He said, "Uncle Phil, I'm really struggling. Why? It seemed like my aunts and uncles. Y'all passing." And my brother Matt said, "Man, your Uncle Philip is about to be 58. So if he's the youngest, everybody's getting older. And one of the challenges with being blessed with long life is that not everyone gets it. So the longer we live, the more chance we have of experiencing loss. But the comfort that we have is that we've been blessed with a peace that surpasses all understanding. And some people wonder, how can we rejoice when there is so much pain? Well, that's because of the God that's inside us. So I didn't mean to get too far off topic, but if you look up there, you'll see that I came here in '92 on a 2-week visit. I'm still on that visit. I was supposed to be here just for those 2 weeks, but the police picked me up and said I looked like someone that did an armed robbery. And I ended up sitting in jail for 2.5 months for something that I didn't do. And if you ever get an email or some kind of communication from me, under my signature, it always has Romans 8:28. For all things work together for good for those who love the Lord and who are called according to his purpose. It never said all things are good. Going to jail for something I didn't do, that's not good. But if I had gone back home to Alton after those 2 weeks, there's no telling what was waiting on me. So because I went to jail for those 2 weeks, I ended up staying here. I was a member at Love Corner. I ended up getting a job with the U of I, with MTD, U of I, and eventually I got on the fire department. But that's not the best part about staying here. The best part about staying here is what happened on October 22nd, 1995 at 6 o'clock in the evening at Willie and Nita's house. That's when I met my sweetie. And the picture that I have up there of my family, if you look at that on the top left-hand corner, that's Daddy's baby girl. All right, she's the youngest, she's the only girl, and she was born on my birthday. I've checked with all my friends that are lawyers and judges, things like that. They said that she is legally spoiled. So just throwing that out there, all right? On the right, on the top on the right, that's my firstborn, Darian. He graduated from SIU Carbondale, and he is currently a mechanical engineer at the U of I, and I'm very proud of him. On the bottom left, that's my son, Devin. Devin is the middle child, and he decided he didn't want to go to school. I said, you going to do something? You're going somewhere. Either you're going to school or you're going to work. He chose to go to work, and now he is working in HVAC. He works with HVAC systems. Our central air went out, and it was hot in the house. It was amazing to be able to have a son that came by, looked at it, found out we had a Freon leak. He fixed it, did everything needed to be done. And I said, Devin, out of curiosity, how much would that have cost if we, you know? He said, oh, Dad, that would have been like $1,500, but I mean, you're Dad. I'm like, yes, I am. Thank you very much. But the thing about that is that everyone doesn't have to go to school to be a success in this life. And I'm not saying that, I'm not encouraging anyone to not go to school. I'm just saying that if you don't, it doesn't mean that all of a sudden you're just doomed to be a failure. And on the bottom right-hand corner, that is my sweetie. She is the reason that I smile so big, both my ears are wet. All right? That is my sweetie. She is the one I met on October 22nd, 1995, 6 o'clock in the evening at Willie and Nita's house. That's when I met my sweetie. So that really has nothing to do with my presentation. I just wanted a reason to show my family off, that's all. That has absolutely nothing to do with the presentation, all right? But I will say this, if you go to the next slide, well, we'll get into this, but I would be remiss if I got up here and just talked about fire safety and didn't say something about life. And when I was a fire marshal, any audience I was in front of, whether you were preschool or senior citizens, I was always talking about giving life lessons along with the fire safety presentation. And I just want you to look at this video because I saw this clip in this movie, and it's like, you know, it was shortly after Christina asked me to come and present, and it's like, I didn't know what I was going to talk about. I saw this, and I said, I know what I'm going to talk about. So can you play this clip? If it does. All right. Now, when I saw that, you could cut it. You can go to the next one. Um, I guess we can. Okay, there we go. All right. Uh, Before we get to talking about fire extinguishers, I want to just tell you what I saw when I saw that clip. And I'm amongst some mature children of God, so I'm sure you probably saw the same thing that I saw. And what I saw was that God is always close even when he seems far. He was calling for his mama. She was not answering him at that time, but she was right there. That's how it is with God. When we call out to him, he may not answer right away. He may not let you know that he's there, but he is. And another thing that I got from that is that sometimes in order for us to hear him speaking to us or hear what he wants us to get, we have to get quiet. You notice when he was, help, mama, help, but it's when he got quiet because his eyesight was gone. Sometimes our eyesight is going in life because of the fact that we think, oh man, okay, I'm gonna try this, I'm gonna do this, and we're trying things blindly, and a lot of us don't have a blueprint, especially as in the black community, there's a lot of families that grew up without dad in the house. And our father's supposed to be our blueprint. But when we don't have that blueprint, then we're going out here blindly just trying to figure things out. My daughter said something in the 5th grade. She said, Dad, one of my friends, she was really amazed. I said, amazed at what? You came to pick me up from school. I said, okay. She said, your dad lives in the house with you? I said, yeah. And your mom? She said, yeah. And the sad part is that that's become the exception now. There are so many people growing up without both parents in a home. And one thing that I made a vow is that my children will never experience what I did. So I just want to say that God is always there. And sometimes we have to get quiet, and then also he'll let you get burned. Did you notice that when he touched the fireplace and had to go the other way? God will never burn you, but he will allow you to get burned. But he will never let you get burned without first teaching you the lesson. He teaches you fire prevention. Every Sunday when you come here, you're getting your fire prevention. Every time you get into your word on your own, you're practicing fire prevention. Now, the kind of fire prevention you're practicing, this ain't going to help. I'm just throwing it out there, all right? When Christine asked me to come do this, I said, yeah, I could do that because, you know, me, your dad and I, we're in the same business, trying to save people from fire. So you'll get that in a minute. All right. And the last thing is that the way God answers us, God always answers our prayers. I hear people say, you know, God doesn't answer my prayers. God answers your prayers. But we've just become accustomed to only acknowledging when he says yes. He answers your prayers. Sometimes it's no, we don't like it, so we say, well, he didn't answer. Could you imagine your kids asking you for something, you know it's not good for them, and you tell them no, but then they go tell their friends, my parents just ignore me. You didn't ignore your child. You told them no because you knew what was best for them. So when God tells us no, we must acknowledge that he's answered our prayers. We just didn't like the answer, all right? So I just want to throw that out there. All right, now we'll get into the fire safety. Why did I do it in that order? The reason I did it in that order is because I don't know when the next time you're going to be able to sit in front of a person that spent 24 years in the fire service, 10 years as the fire marshal, and be able to hear some of the things that I'm going to share with you about fire safety. There are some things you already know, but then there may be some things that you don't know. And there may be some things that I bring up that you've heard, but you may hear it in a different way that may help it stick a little bit better. All right? Y'all ready to go on this journey with me? All right, good deal. All right, now, why learn about fire extinguishers? Well, the reason why we learn about fire extinguishers is because 1 out of every 3 people will have a bad experience with fires. 1 out of every 3. So I want everyone to look at the person to the left of you. Now look at the person to the right of you. If neither one of them are going to have a bad experience, you're it. Because one out of every three have a bad experience with fire. So we want to make sure that we're doing what we can to not be that one. And according to the American Burn Association, there are over 3,500 fire and burn deaths every year. And 100 of those are firefighters. Now, we all know, we learned in kindergarten that when a house is on fire, you run out of it, right? A building's on fire, you run out. But firefighters run in. And when a firefighter runs in, every time he goes into that fire, there's a chance that that may be his last alarm. Just because a firefighter has the training and the equipment and the technology, it doesn't guarantee that he's going to come back out of that fire. So when we practice fire safety, it's not just for us, but it's also for the family of every firefighter that you know and don't know. Because I want to be here for my boys to show them the type of man that God wants them to be. I want to be here to watch my daughter walk down. I want to be here for my daughter to get old and become mature and be the lady of God that He wants her to be. Y'all just work with me on that, all right? That's my baby girl. But 4,500 hospitalizations from burn injuries. Now, while those are some daunting numbers, the good thing is that there's something we could do about those numbers, and that is practicing fire safety. For yourself, I talked about firefighters' families, but for your families. Because we all know the kids, when they're with us, there's more that's caught than what's taught. Kids will practice what they see you do more than what you say to do. You know, it's funny because one time somebody came to me and said, man, you know what? You drink too many Pepsis while they were smoking a cigarette. I'm like, really? Are you serious right now? But your children, they can't hear the words that you're saying because the life that you're living is talking too loud. So if they see you being conscious about fire safety, if they see you changing batteries in a smoke detector, they see you, if they grow up knowing that, you know what, at any moment, mom or dad are going to have us go out of this house. They're going to act like it's on fire. Okay, I got to go. And if you let them grow up seeing that, then when they get older, then they're going to pass that down. All right? Now, what about those of us that are already grown and haven't done that? There's still hope. All right? There's still hope. So we're going to change some of those numbers by practicing fire prevention. Let's go to the next slide. Now, who should learn about fire extinguishers? All right? Everyone. Next one. Everyone should learn about fire extinguishers because people discriminate. Fires don't. A fire doesn't care who you are. They don't care about your status. A fire doesn't care anything about you. A fire is going to burn you. A fire will do his job. Whether you do yours or not, a fire is going to do his job. So no matter who you are, you can get burned. And looking at the statistics, men, there's a 70% chance if you're a man that you will have a bad experience with fire. And with women, it's 30%. So there's more than twice the chance that a man will have a bad experience with fire. And I did some research. And in my 24 years in the fire service, I figured, you know what? I've come to a conclusion. I know why men are so much more why they're so much more likely to have a bad experience with fire. And the reason why is because men are the one who coined the phrase, hold my beer, watch this. So that's why, that was a little funnier in the secular scene, you know, I'm not talking about beer, but you know, we're gonna just work with it right here, all right? But 70%, there's a 70% chance that men will have a bad experience with fire than women. And usually I start this class out like this. How many people have actually used a fire extinguisher before? All right, keep your hands up. All right, now, how many people used a fire extinguisher on a fire that you didn't start? Yeah, I see some hands go down. Okay, yeah, like, hey, I used one on a fire that you didn't start. I'm out. So I'm saying that because whether you start a fire or not, if you have an experience with fire, knowing what to do is going to be of utmost importance. All right, that makes sense? All right, let's go to the next slide.
The experts in Urbana. This is Nan Pinchetti. I'm a teacher at Leo School in Urbana. I wanted to let you and your horrible accidents in Urbana last night. A grill fire that injured 4 children. 2 of them severely. They're in the burn unit in Springfield. But I am told by their parents and first responders that their injuries would have been much more severe had they not stopped, dropped, and rolled, as you all taught them just weeks ago at your Fire Safety Institute at Lincoln Mall. I'm sure you don't hear often enough that you do make a just difference in people's lives. We all in Urbana schools want you to know that you do make a difference, and your efforts are responsible for 2 children pulling through very dangerous situations. So accolades to you all. Good work. Keep it up. Again, my name is Nancy Ketty. Thanks, Fireman Phil and your team. We all do appreciate you. Bye-bye.
Now, when that call came in, I happened to not answer my phone. I think I was on another call investigation or something. And I'm glad I didn't answer it, because sometimes we wonder why we do what we're doing. We wonder if we're making a difference. That call right there justified my entire time in the fire service, because there were 2 kids that made it through a very bad situation. And when she said that they had just come to Fire Prevention Week at Lincoln Square, and when she said they learned about stop, drop, and roll, I actually had a rap song about stop, drop, and roll that I will not do. So don't even think about it. So just throwing that out there. But the fact, when someone comes to you and say that you made a difference in their life, for every person that says you made a difference, there's probably 10 more that may not tell you. So just know that what you're doing with your life, when you're walking in your purpose, there's a ripple effect. So not everybody going to say thank you, but people will feel it. And I want to say this. Oftentimes people will say, hey man, you need to work to make your presence felt. And I believe a little bit different. I believe you should work to make your absence known. Don't make your presence known, make your absence felt. Because if you're trying to make your presence known, and once you get that accolade, then you may stop working. You know, once you catch that bus, you quit chasing it. But if you're working as unto the Lord, and then when you're gone, then something's missing. Something walks out of the room with you when you walk out the room when you're walking in purpose. And something walks in with you that was not there before when you're walking in purpose. So that's what that testimonial meant to me. So here's what we're going to know by the time I get done talking today. If you go to the next slide, you will know what to do before the fire, during the fire, and after the fire. All right? Before the fire, during the fire, and after the fire. Let's go to the next slide. I feel weird saying go to the next slide, Bishop. See, I'm used to having a clicker, and I just sort of, click that thing and make it happen at timing. It's about timing. But we're going to make this thing do what it do. All right, let's go to the next one. So before the fire, here's what you need to know. You need to know your exit. Know your emergency plan before the emergency happens. All right, I usually ask that question, when's the best time to plan for an emergency? I hear some people say annually, as needed. We should do it right after an emergency happens so we know what to do next time. But the best time to plan for an emergency is before one happens. So make your emergency plan at work, at home, and at church. And unfortunately, we're living in a day and time when there are things that happens in church that you didn't even have to think about when I was growing up. And if it was like that when I was growing up, I have this gray, and I see some of y'all got a little bit more gray than I do, so I know it was like that when you were younger too. But even at church, we have to know emergency action plans to protect against fire and other things that man decides to do. So let's go to the next slide. Know your exit. Know your exit upon entrance. When I first started in the fire service, I told my family we would go out to eat at a restaurant, and I say, look, if something happens, if a fire breaks out or if any emergency happens, we're going out that door back there. And they would ask, well, why are we doing that? I said, because everybody else is going to try to go out this door. And there was a news reporter that was doing a report on overcrowded spaces. And on that report, while he had the camera rolling, and there was a band, it's called the Station Nightclub Fire. And the band, they were using illegal pyrotechnics. So as he's filming, he noticed that a fire starts. The crowd think it's part of the show, They're applauding, but he starts backing up. And before everything was done, there were over 100 people that lost their lives that night. And a lot of them were stuck in the door trying to get out, piled up on each other because of the panic. Can you imagine going out with a friend? You're going to a movie theater. Something happens and you see your friend right there, but they're stuck because there are so many people on top of them and they can't get out. And after doing the investigation, found out there were 2 other exits unblocked that could have been used. And they didn't know about it. So wherever you go, know how you're going to get out other than just the way that you came in. That make sense? What's your name, sir? Carl? Okay, Carl, I need a favor from you, all right? The minute I stop making sense, you let me know, and I'm going to shut up, all right? So I need you. You're going to be my test. If I ain't making sense, you just let me know. You're a big brother, so I will put this mic down, all right? So know your exits upon entrance. Having 1 is good, 2 is better. Let's go to the next slide. See why I like having my clicker? All right. Now, if you see smoke or fire, you need to report it immediately. And especially as seniors, as we get older, we're reluctant to call the fire department because we think, I don't know if this is really a reason for me to call them. You know what? It's just a little something burned on the stove. Maybe I don't need to call. It's better to call 911 and find out that you don't need them rather than to not call them when they should have been on the way. All right? The average time here in Urbana, Champaign and Urbana, the average time that it takes to respond for a fire is 4 to 6 minutes. And I'm sure you probably heard that fires double every minute, and that used to be true. It's not true anymore. Fires used to double in every minute when it was made out of things like, when furniture was made out of natural material like wood, cotton, things of that nature. You know, you had pillows with the feathers in them. Now where they use a lot of petroleum-based products. So that means that the fire spreads a lot quicker, so it more than doubles every minute. At times it can quadruple every minute because of the product. So when you're sitting on that nice couch from IKEA, all right, for those of you that can afford IKEA, because, Brother B, that's another show. But you sit on that couch from IKEA, that upholstery, you're sitting in a solid puddle of gasoline. I'm not trying to scare you to death. I'm trying to love you to life. And information is what's going to be the key for you surviving or preventing a bad situation. So my goal here is to help you experience the only fire that doesn't burn. The only fire that doesn't burn is a preventive fire. When I made that up, I thought it was pretty good, Bishop. Looking at the lack of response, I guess it wasn't good as I thought it was, so I'll have to keep working on it. All right, so make sure you call 911 and report fire and smoke immediately. Let's go to the next slide. Now, before the fire, we want to practice fire prevention, all right? During a fire, we have to act quickly. We have to make quick decisions, all right? And I want to say this. Fire extinguishers are not meant to fight fires. Y'all look like y'all don't believe me over here, so I'm going to talk to the people over here. Fire extinguishers are not meant to fight fires. See how they did that? See? Now, firefighters are meant to fight fires. Extinguishers are only meant to give you an opportunity to control a small flame and to get out as quick as you can. All right? So you need to know immediately, if a fire starts, do I know how to use an extinguisher? Because if you're not sure how to use an extinguisher, that's okay. That's okay. We all have some things we don't know. But if you don't know how to use one, then just get out. All right? So firefighters fight fires. Extinguishers only give you a chance to get out. All right? Remember this. You cannot spell extinguisher without exit. I thought that was good too, but I'm just bombing up here. I'm just trying my best. I'm giving my best material, and it just ain't working. All right. So extinguishers, you want to make sure that you don't try to do more than what you're able to do. Let's go to the next slide. Now, I want someone to tell me, what is the first thing you need to know? Am I allowed to sit on this? All right. What is the first thing that you need to know before you can use an extinguisher? Someone just yell it out. Pass. Oh, yeah, we're going to talk about that. That's good. That ain't it, but that's good. That's good. Where's it? There you go. Hit the next slide. Where it is. You know, so a lot of times I'll ask, what's the first thing you need to know? People will say, well, you need to know what type of extinguisher it is. What's the product that's on the inside of the extinguisher? How big is it? All of that is irrelevant if you don't know where it is. So I want everyone here to do me a favor. During this conference, before you leave, find out where every extinguisher is in this building, all right? There won't be a test because I'm allergic to tests, all right? I'm just giving you the knowledge, all right? I'd rather you have the knowledge. I'm not going to test you. But seriously, think about it if a fire breaks out, that's the wrong time to try to figure out where the extinguisher is, all right? So you want to know where it is before a fire happens. Now, is there anybody here that's familiar with the building that could tell me where the closest fire extinguisher is? All right. There you go, Bishop. See, Bishop, we're on the same page, man. That's my man. Right, it's right here on the stage, people, right here on the stage. All right? So when it comes to using an extinguisher, we have to know where they are. All right? If we don't know where they are, we cannot use them. So your knowledge, your acumen is irrelevant if you could throw a football but you don't play football. All right? So let's get to the next slide. Now, we have to make decisions very quickly. Choose ye this day whom you will serve. When there's a fire, choose ye right now what you're going to do. Am I going to use this extinguisher or am I going to get out? And the reason that's important, like I already said, fire more than doubles every minute. So what are the questions we need to ask ourselves? Hit the next slide. We need to ask ourselves these questions. Oh, I'm sorry, hit it again. See, I'm not, yeah. You have to ask, do I know how to use a fire extinguisher? Just click all the questions down. Do I know how to use a fire extinguisher? Have I notified others that are, getting someone to call 911 and the fire too big? Is the exit at my back? All of these questions are things you need to ask yourself before using an extinguisher. And what we want you to do is get to the point where you can ask yourself all of those questions and answer them just like that. Because it would be like if you're driving down the street in a residential neighborhood and a ball rolls out in the street, what's usually coming behind that ball? A child, right? So when that happens, here are the things that go through your mind. Should I hit the brakes right now? Oh, if I do, I might slide. But then if I go into the other lane, I might hit that other car. But if I speed up, the kid might still come out here and get hit. Or what should I do? Should I just try to swerve? All of those questions are answered instantaneously and you hit your brakes. Why? Because we have experience with driving. And we know that behind a ball or a toy comes a child. When it comes to fire extinguishers, we need to know right away, can I use this thing? Is this fire one that I should be trying to put out? Is there too much smoke? Do people know what's going on? And you should never use an extinguisher without calling 911 first. All right? I like to tell people that using an extinguisher is like CPR. Now, what in the world does an extinguisher have to do with CPR? That's a very good question. I'm glad you asked that question. Since you asked it, I'm going to answer for you right now. When you do CPR, they tell you never start doing CPR without calling 911 first because you want the EMS system activated right away. Same thing with a fire extinguisher. Never use an extinguisher without calling 911 first because the fire department needs to be on their way. Because when you use the extinguisher, if the fire doesn't go out, then the fire department already needs to be on their way. If you get the flames extinguished, don't call back and say, never mind, because once you saw them, that ball going down the hill, they're coming. All right? But the reason that you want the fire department to be on their way is because once the fire starts, just in case you don't get it all the way out, then the fire department needs to be on their way. I've been on the fire department for 24 years, and I had some guys that's been there longer than me. So back when I've been on there about 20 years, we went to a fire, and we got it out. Well, then the next night, we got a call to the same exact address. It's what they call a rekindle. It's the same house, another fire. And what happened, they say, well, it was a rekindle. It was not a rekindle. A fire doesn't just start again. We didn't get it all the way out the first time. The reason I'm saying that is because If veteran professional firefighters can think a fire is out and it's not, chances are a couple of members at Love Corner, a couple of children of God that don't deal with fires could think a fire is out and it's not. So it's best to have the fire department already on the way so that we can know, is this thing out? And if it's out, now there's paperwork. There's always paperwork. No job's complete till the paperwork is finished. All right? There was a joke that I used to tell, middle schoolers, but that's, at the I Hotel, we ain't gonna do that in Love Corner. So here's what I'm gonna say. When it comes to using an extinguisher, you gotta ask yourself these questions. And here's something that's really important. You only get one. This is not baseball. You don't get 3 strikes. If one extinguisher doesn't do the job, you need to get out. One of the worst fires I went to was in Rantoul, and I didn't actually go to the fire, I did the investigation. But it caused a lot of damage. It was on the old base. And when we got there, we're like, what happened? He said, well, I saw the fire and I used the extinguisher, but it didn't go out, so I went and got another one. The guy went through 6 extinguishers before he called 911. So the fire department was far behind the 8 ball by the time they got there. So call 911 before you use an extinguisher. And after you use that one, that's it. All right? Don't go get another one. If it didn't go out, you get out. Now, when you use an extinguisher, you want to make sure that the exit is at your back. And the reason why is because you shouldn't have to run through the fire to get out. All right? So make sure that the exit is at your back and you're using the extinguisher. If it doesn't work, throw it down and you can get out. That make sense? Well, man, am I still on point? All right, good deal. All right, so when we're using an extinguisher, we want the exit at our back, and we want to make sure that as we're applying the product, that we're being effective with it. You don't want to be so far back until the product isn't reaching the flame. All right? So let's go to the next one. So somebody mentioned the PASS, talking about the PASS acronym. But this one is race. So hit the next slide. No, not this kind of race. All right, I know some of y'all get excited. Fast and Furious, not that kind of race, but it's this race. Hit the next slide. All right, hit it 3 more times until that one's exposed. So RACE, that's actually an acronym. It stands for Rescue, Alert, Confine, and Extinguish. So you want to rescue those in your immediate area. That doesn't mean, become Superman or the Incredible Hulk. That's my favorite, Incredible Hulk. You don't need to pick people up and go carrying them out. If a fire breaks out and you all don't know about it, if I come here and say, hey, there's a fire, we need to get out. Everyone that gets out, that's a rescue that I've just effected. When you pull the alarm and people get out, you've effected a rescue because people need to know what's going on. So the first thing you want to do is let those know in your immediate area that something's going on, and then when you're leaving, you want to make sure that you pull the fire alarm. All right? Now, I'm going to let you know something. If you don't know where the extinguishers are, and if you don't know where the pull station is for the alarm, just start to leave. Because the way the building codes are written is that somewhere along your path while you're leaving, you will run into an extinguisher. And with this being a church, you should never have to go more than 75 foot in any direction from any point in the church without running into an extinguisher. All right? So as you're leaving, you see an extinguisher, and the pull stations for the alarm is usually located right by the door because they want you pulling that thing as you're leaving. They don't want you to run through the fire to go and activate the alarm. All right? So just go towards the door, and you will see the pull station to pull. All right? I know some of y'all think, I'm going to test this dude on this. I'm going to see if he knows what he's talking about because I'm going to get right after we leave, I'm going to go out here and test it. So trust me on this one. All right? Now, as far as alert, alarm, and then confine, building codes are written now so that once you close a door, the doors are fire rated. And by closing that door, what happens is usually they're fire rated for like an hour, 2 hours, whatever the case may be. But when you close that door, that means that the fire has to impinge upon that door for that long before it could break through and get into the room where you are. So by closing that door, oftentimes the fire will burn itself out because the fire needs 3 things to exist. It needs fuel, something to burn, heat, and oxygen. When you close that door behind you, and I'm talking about, this is more residential because these some big doors right here, Bishop. This is nice, this real nice. So what I'm saying is that, but when you're at home, you close that door when you're leaving, and if it's a room that's burning, 9 times out of 10, it's going to use up all the oxygen and snuff itself out. All right? That's why we have fire-rated doors. That's why they have the codes. So close the door on your way out, and 9 times out of 10, the fire will go out. And at the very least, it'll give you time to get out and for the fire department to get there. Am I still making sense, bro? We still good? All right, cool. All right. So, and the E is for extinguish/escape. Let's go to the next slide. Now, who said pass earlier? Who said pass? My man, you're exactly right now. You wasn't right earlier, but you're right now. All right. So pass. Hit the next slide. When we're using an extinguisher, you know what? I had my alarm set to go off when I have 5 minutes left, but that lets you know that I'm not the sharpest knife in the box of rocks, because I'm looking back there and I see I got a clock right there. I didn't know it, so just work with me on this. All right. So when I think of pass, yeah, that's right, I'm a Cowboy fan. What the problem is? Yeah, that's Dak Prescott, one of the best quarterbacks in the league in the regular season. That's right. So don't come to me talking about Tom Brady. This is Dak Prescott, all right? I would have done one for the Bears quarterback, but I couldn't think of an acronym for interception. So we're going to go to the next slide. When it comes to using an extinguisher, first thing you want to do is pull. Extinguishers have a pin. And I'm going to have to just talk loud because I got to use both hands for this, all right? So y'all just work with me. So first thing you want to do is you want to pull the pin. You pull this pin out. What this pin is doing is it's keeping the trigger. That's my man right there. I appreciate you, man. I appreciate it. See, that's what I like. You know, somebody see something needs to be done, and they just do it. That's what I'm sorry, I was on another part of Ray. That was, okay. All right. So you pull the pin, all right? And that's going to allow this trigger to be able to be depressed, all right? If you don't pull that pin out, then this extinguisher is going to do no good to you. And my recommendation is that you pull the pin out before you pick it up. Because if there's a fire and the adrenaline is flowing, you pick this thing up and I'm trying to pull it out. Why can I not get this thing out? Because I'm squeezing the handle. So the best thing to do, pull the pin out before you pick it up. And there's no wrong way to do the right thing. So if you say, well, what if I'm not strong enough to pull that pin? Then you're probably not going to be strong enough to hold this extinguisher, and you probably should just try to get out. Okay, that makes sense? But there are ways that you can still pull this pin out. One thing you could do, I should probably do this up here so everybody can see. You can lay it on the ground so that you can have a mechanical advantage and pull it like that. While this one doesn't have the tie on it to make it tight, there are many extinguishers that do. I appreciate you, brother. Hey, man of God right there. All right, so I got just a few minutes left, so don't listen slow because I'm about to talk fast. All right, so you pull the pin, then you want to aim. You aim at the base of the fire. Don't aim at the flames. A lot of people will aim at the flames because that's what they see. See, it is just like spiritual issues. A lot of times, the flames are not the problem. The flames aren't what's burning. The flames are the result of what's burning. So when we're walking and we're not walking in God's will, it's not the sin. Sin is just a fruit of the problem. But the root of the problem is something that's on the inside of us. It's a spirit problem. So just like that, you want to aim at what the problem is. All right? So you want to aim at the base of the fire. That make sense? Pull, aim, and then you want to squeeze. All right? And what you want to do is, see, I just want to do that every now and then. I like to do that, just scare folks. But I made sure I was back far enough because it's just a couple people that's, a little bit older than me, about a week or two, and I didn't want to make sure we didn't need to use the defibrillator or nothing. So I did it from back here instead of up close. But you want to squeeze, and then you want to, let me see, P-A-S, carry the one. S, yes, okay, yeah, the next slide. Then you want to sweep. You want to sweep back and forth as you're applying the product. You want to sweep back and forth so that you get the total area of what's burning, all right? if these 2 rows of chairs are burning, but I'm only going back and forth right here, then guess what? These chairs will be appreciative, but those chairs right there, they're going to go up. So you want to make sure you're going back and forth over the full area of what's burning. Now, let me just say this qualifier. If both of these rows of chairs are burning, this extinguisher is not the answer. All right? We should have been out of here a while back. All right? That was just for visual analysis only, analogy only. So pull, aim, squeeze, and sweep. Once the flame is out, you want to back away from it so that if it flares back up, you're already in position to go back forward and hit it again with the same extinguisher. All right? Now, if you're using, now this is, they have different types of extinguishers, and I won't go too deep into it because I'm not training firefighters. I'm just teaching people how to be a little safe. But some things we want to keep in mind is this. Number 1, check your smoke detectors every year. They have the new 10-year detectors. There are pros and cons to that. The pro is that for 10 years, you don't have to worry about those batteries. You know, you're good. But the challenge is that in 10 years, you may forget about it altogether. But if you have to change your batteries every 6 months, then it might be more regular. You might, you know, it's on your mind a little bit more, all right? But number 2, hopefully no one here smokes, but if someone does smoke, they say don't smoke in bed. I say don't smoke while you're tired so that you're not tempted to lay down or sit down and then, you know, go to sleep with the cigarette and cause a fire. When it comes to space heaters, we want to make sure that we have at least 3 feet of clearance all the way around the space heater, not just in front of it, but all the way around it. And that's actually an OSHA regulation, NFPA as well, but the thing is, those 3 feet, if you keep anything flammable from around that, then you're increasing your chance of not causing a fire. And not only objects, but pets. That's something people don't talk about. If you have a space heater and you have a long-haired cat, a long-haired dog, and the pet get close to the fire, then, you know, I used to wonder why people treated pets like family. Well, I finally got a dog after 25 years, so I can understand it. So what I'll say is this, and I'm gonna wrap up real quick because my time is up. Before the fire, practice fire prevention. During the fire, know how to use an extinguisher. And then after the fire, let's hit that next slide real quick. After the fire, like I said, you want to back away, but then you want to meet the fire department wherever they are. And the reason why is because you want to go up to them. They have some questions they're going to ask you. They need to know where is or was the fire, or is everyone out? And they're also going to need to know what is or was burning. The information you give the fire department will give them a better opportunity to find out what happened so they can give you information on how to keep it from happening again. And the last thing is that along with space heaters, cords. Make sure that if you're using extension cords, that they're on a surge protector so that if a surge in power happens, it doesn't continue to go off. And people think, I went to a house fire one time and it was, a cord was the source of the fire where it started. They said, but it's on a surge protector. Why didn't it turn off? Well, what happened is they pinched the cord between a piece of furniture and the wall. So when the electricity is going through that thing, then it starts to heat up because of friction. And the surge protector is not a heat detector. So when it started getting hot and the fire broke out, it didn't just cut off. All right? So keep area clear around the portable heater. Make sure you have more than one way out. And keep a phone with you. Call 911. If you don't, keep a cell phone with you. For my people that are my age and older, I understand my smartphone does not have a smart user. I understand it. If you have a flip phone, it works, as long as it has the numbers 911 on it. All right? I was going to ask questions, but I ran my mouth too long, so I'll be here for a little while if you want to ask questions later. That's my time. I thank you for yours.
Praise the Lord, everybody. Minister Phil Edwards, amen, retired fire marshal, did a great job. Give a God a good praise for him, good praise for him. We got about 5, 6, 7 minutes. Okay, let's take a quick break, and we're going to get ready for Dr. Ellis and AP Sean Sims. Amen. Love you all. Hug somebody, let them know I'm glad you made it, and stay out of fire.